5 signs you are secretly a dark empath. Think about that one friend who always knows the perfect thing to say. When you're down, they lift you up. When you're confused, they offer crystal clear clarity. Their support feels like a superpower, a warm blanket in a cold world. But then, afterward, after the warmth fades, you can't shake this lingering, unsettling feeling. The feeling that their kindness was a little too perfect, a little too convenient, and that somehow in the end, they always get exactly what they wanted. You're left feeling strangely used, but you can't quite put your finger on why. You might even feel guilty for questioning them at all. What if that empathy isn't a gift, but a weapon? You might be dealing with a dark empath, a personality type that many consider the most dangerous you'll never see coming. They have an incredible, profound understanding of human emotion, but they don't use this insight for connection. They use it for control. A dark empath combines this emotional intelligence with the DarkTriad traits: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Now here's the key difference. While a traditional empath feels with you, that's called effective empathy, a dark empath simply understands you. This is called cognitive empathy. They use this intellectual map of your feelings not to support you, but to manipulate you for their own gain. Their ability to perfectly mirror your emotions makes them incredibly hard to spot, and they leave a trail of confusion and self-doubt wherever they go. So, how do you see behind the mask? Let's break down the 5 signs that someone in your life, or maybe even the person in the mirror, is a secret dark empath, so you can finally understand what's going on and protect your peace. Sign number 1. Their kindness is convenient and conditional. At first glance, a dark empath looks like the most supportive person you know. They are absolute masters of offering a shoulder to cry on, delivering the perfect compliment just when you need it, and making you feel totally seen. But if you pay close attention, you'll start to see a disturbing pattern. Their support almost always has a price tag, and it only shows up when it directly benefits them. Imagine this. You've had a horrible week at work. A project you poured your soul into just fell apart, and you're feeling useless and insecure. You confide in your friend, the one who always gets you. They listen intently, their face a perfect mask of sympathy. They tell you you're brilliant, that the company is blind to your talent, and that you're destined for so much more. You feel a huge wave of relief. Finally, someone understands. But then a few days later, they hit you up with a small favor. They need you to cover their weekend shift, the one they know you have plans for, or maybe they need to borrow a hefty sum of money for a surefire investment. If you hesitate, they might subtly bring up how they were there for you. The message, though unspoken, is loud and clear. I helped you, now you owe me. Suddenly their support doesn't feel like a gift. It feels like a transaction. Their kindness was an investment, and now they're here to collect the return. And that right there is the classic move of a dark empath. Unlike a true empath who gives compassion freely, a dark empath uses it strategically. They use cognitive empathy to recognize your vulnerability and need for validation, but they don't actually share your pain. Instead, they see your distress as an opening. By providing perfectly timed comfort, they create a feeling of debt. They aren't soothing your pain because they care. They're setting you up for future manipulation. This is so disorienting because their words feel so real in the moment. They know exactly what you need to hear, analyzing your weak spots with chilling precision, but over time their actions give them away. Their support will likely evaporate the second it's no longer useful to them. If you're in a bind that offers them no personal benefit, you'll suddenly find them distant or completely unavailable. This selective kindness is a massive red flag. It shows their care isn't a part of their character, but a calculated performance. Sign number 2, they wield a malicious and demeaning sense of humor. Humor brings us together, it builds bridges and lets us share a laugh. But in the hands of a dark empath, humor becomes a weapon, sharpened to a razor's edge. Their jokes are often sarcastic, passive-aggressive, and masterfully disguised as just teasing. This lets them belittle you and assert their dominance while giving them total plausible deniability. Picture a group dinner. Everyone's laughing until that one friend starts making jokes at your expense. You recently told them something personal in confidence, maybe your fear of public speaking or a clumsy mistake you made. Suddenly they're twisting that vulnerability into a punchline for the whole table. When they see the hurt on your face, they'll quickly fire back with, "Oh, come on, I'm just kidding. You know I love you. Don't be so sensitive." And just like that, you're trapped. If you get upset, you're too sensitive, proving their point. If you stay silent, you swallow the humiliation and they get to feel powerful. It's public degradation disguised as a bit of fun. This isn't just random teasing. A dark empath's jokes are surgically precise. They use the private information they've gathered about your insecurities to cut you down. This does a couple of things for them. First, it keeps you in your place. By poking at your flaws, they stop you from getting too confident, which would make you harder to control. Second, it props up their own grandiosity, a core narcissistic trait. Making others feel small makes them feel big. This behavior comes from their lack of effective empathy. They cognitively understand their comment will hurt you, but they don't feel that sting themselves. In fact, for people with darker personality traits, causing a little social pain can be a source of pleasure, a quick hit of power. They enjoy that gotcha moment, that flicker of shock in your eyes before you can compose yourself. It's proof that they can pull your emotional strings. So if you constantly find yourself as the butt of someone's jokes, and those jokes always seem to hit your deepest insecurities, you're not being too sensitive. You're likely on the receiving end of calculated psychological aggression. It's their way of testing your boundaries and chipping away at your self-esteem, making you more dependent on them for the very validation they just stole. Sign number 3. They are masters of subtle manipulation. While some toxic people are openly aggressive, the dark empath is a far more sophisticated artist of manipulation. Their weapons are subtle, psychological tactics designed to make you feel confused, guilty, and crazy. Their favorites? Gaslighting, guilt-tripping, and passive aggression. Gaslighting is when someone denies your reality so effectively that you start to doubt your own memory and sanity. Dark empaths are pros at this because they use their emotional insight to make their lies more believable. For example, you confront them about something they said. Instead of owning it, they'll twist the story. They'll say, "You're not remembering it right. You were really stressed that day." Or, "I never said that. I think you're projecting your own fears onto me." They deliver these lines with such cool conviction that you start to wonder if they might be right. Guilt tripping is another go-to because they've studied what makes you tick. They know exactly how to trigger your guilt. Let's say you finally set a boundary and say no to an unreasonable request. They won't get angry, they'll get hurt. They might let out a heavy sigh and say, "It's fine, I thought we were closer than that. I guess I was wrong. Don't worry about me, I'll figure it out." In an instant, you're no longer just declining a favor. You're a bad, selfish friend who has wounded this incredibly sensitive person. They've turned your self-preservation into an act of betrayal. And then there's passive aggression, the art of showing anger without ever admitting it. This could be a backhanded compliment. "Wow, that presentation was surprisingly good." Forgetting to do something they promised to do, or the ever-powerful silent treatment. By withdrawing all communication, they punish you without saying a single word. Your mind will race, desperately trying to figure out what you did wrong. This puts them in a position of power as you scramble to get back in their good graces, often by apologizing for something you never even did. These tactics are so effective because they're covert. You constantly feel like you're walking on eggshells and you slowly lose trust in your own judgment. And that's exactly the goal, to destabilize your sense of reality so they can insert their own, making you much, much easier to control. If these signs are starting to sound way too familiar, and you feel that knot in your stomach because you recognize these patterns in someone you know, trust that feeling. You're not imagining it. Let us know in the comments if you've ever dealt with this kind of conditional kindness or manipulative humor. Sharing your story isn't just validating for you, it can help someone else realize they're not alone. Sign number 4, they are emotionally detached despite their insight. One of the most chilling and confusing things about a dark empath is the massive disconnect between what they know and what they feel. They can analyze your emotions with the precision of a surgeon, but they remain completely unmoved by it all. This is the gap between their high cognitive empathy and their low affective empathy. They're like a musician who can read every note of a symphony but is completely deaf to the music. You might feel this most acutely when you're at your most vulnerable. Imagine you're sharing news of a devastating personal loss. The dark empath will look you right in the eye, their face a perfect mask of compassion. They'll say all the right things. That must be so painful. I'm so sorry. I'm here for you. It's a textbook, perfect performance. But you feel nothing. There's no genuine warmth, just an invisible wall and a coldness that makes their words feel hollow. It's like they're following a script titled How to Comfort a Grieving Friend. This emotional detachment is what allows them to be so manipulative without feeling guilty or remorseful. True empathy, feeling with someone, makes it almost impossible to intentionally hurt them. But for the dark empath, your pain is just data, information to be analyzed and used. This detachment also means their relationships are often shallow, even if they seem intense on the surface. They can be incredibly charming and social, drawing people in by making them feel seen. But they can't form deep, genuine bonds because they can't return the emotional vulnerability that others offer them. You're sharing your inner world while they remain a locked fortress, only showing you what's strategically useful. If you wonder if you have these tendencies yourself, this is a key area to explore. Do you understand why people are upset but you don't actually feel upset for them? Do you find yourself seeing other people's emotions as irrational or annoying, even as you say all the right things to calm them down? Do you feel like you're playing a part in your own relationships? This internal disconnect is at the very core of the dark empath profile. While the rest of us are moved by genuine emotion, they operate from a place of cold, calculated observation. Sign number 5, they are a walking contradiction of grandiosity and self-criticism. The inner world of a dark empath is a chaotic and contradictory place. On the outside, they often project an aura of confidence, superiority, and charisma, all hallmarks of narcissism. They might brag about their achievements, genuinely believe they're smarter than everyone else, and carry a powerful sense of entitlement. This grandiosity is what fuels their belief that they have the right to manipulate people to get what they want. But here's the twist, that inflated self-image is incredibly fragile. Beneath the surface of their superiority complex lies a deep well of insecurity and harsh self-criticism. They would never show this to the world, of course, but it drives almost everything they do. Their need to control and manipulate others is often a desperate attempt to prop up their own shaky self-esteem. You might see glimpses of this in their reactions. A dark empath can be intensely sensitive to criticism. While they can dish out brutal jokes, they can't take even the slightest pushback. A minor challenge to their opinion can trigger a wildly disproportionate response, a flash of cold rage, a sudden retreat into sullen silence, or an immediate burst of defensive gaslighting. This over-the-top reaction is them desperately protecting their fragile ego. Their grandiosity and insecurity are locked in a volatile cycle. When a manipulation succeeds or they receive praise, their superiority soars. They feel powerful, but when they're challenged, rejected, or fail, they can plunge into periods of intense self-doubt. This is a key difference between a dark empath and a classic psychopath, who typically doesn't have this internal conflict. The dark empath is often aware, on some level, of their own flaws, which can lead to feelings of shame or frustration. If you're trying to spot this in yourself, listen to your internal monologue. Do you swing between feeling like you're fundamentally better than everyone else and feeling like a total fraud? Is your self-worth almost entirely dependent on being in control and winning social interactions? Does one small failure send you into a spiral of vicious self-judgment? This internal tug-of-war is what makes the dark empath so complex. Their manipulation isn't just about getting ahead, it's about managing their own inner chaos. They put others down to quiet the critical voice in their own head. They build a world where they are powerful and admired to avoid confronting the insecure person they secretly fear they are. This battle between their grandiose fantasies and their insecure reality is the engine that drives their destructive behavior. So let's do a quick recap of the 5 signs of a secret dark empath. First, their kindness is conditional, offered only when there's something in it for them. Second, they use malicious humor to target your insecurities and assert their dominance. Third, they are masters of subtle manipulation like gaslighting and guilt-tripping to keep you off balance. Fourth, they are emotionally detached, understanding your feelings with their head but not their heart. And fifth, they are a walking contradiction of grandiosity and deep-seated insecurity. Recognizing these signs is the most crucial step toward protecting yourself. The confusion, guilt, and self-doubt you feel are not your fault. They are the intended result of sophisticated emotional manipulation. Understanding these patterns empowers you to set firm boundaries, trust your own gut, and start untangling yourself from their web. And if you recognized some of these traits in yourself, remember that awareness is the first step toward change. These patterns are complex, but acknowledging them is a powerful act, so we'll leave you with this question. Now that you know the signs, do you see the shadow of a dark empath in your life, or in your reflection? Thanks for watching. If this video resonated with you, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more insights into psychology and human behavior. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Sharing this video could be a lifeline for someone feeling lost in a manipulative relationship. We'll see you in the next one.